them favoring the 49ers by 3 points as a road underdog, that's Vegas basically saying that they believe the 49ers are 6 points better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that's crazy. The 49ers are 8-3. They've played well since their bye week. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the Jaguars in week 10, 34-3. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 11, 27-14. And they blew out the Seattle Seahawks on Thanksgiving in week 12, 31-13. But they're 8-3. And even though they lead the NFC West, there's been times this year, especially during their 3-game losing streak, week 6 through 8, where the 49ers didn't look very good. And Brock Purdy was struggling. Now, Deebo Samuel was also injured, and he was out. Trent Williams was also injured and out. Christian McCaffrey wasn't 100% week 6 through about week 6 through 10. Christian McCaffrey was not 100%. So I understand that the 49ers were dealing with injuries, but I witnessed Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings throw a party against that 49ers defense week 7 on a Monday night in Minnesota. Vikings beat the 49ers 22-17. And then I also witnessed Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals dominate the 49ers. This was a Sunday afternoon in San Francisco. Joe Burrow had arguably his best performance of the season as the Bengals beat the 49ers 31-17. And the 49ers are a great team who could potentially win the Super Bowl. But I don't feel like they should be favored in this matchup. I look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They are 10-1. Their only loss came against the New York Jets, and that was in week 6. And they could have potentially won that game as well. But I think Vegas is looking at style points and looking at how these two teams have won football games. Like over the last few weeks, you look at the Eagles. In week 9, they beat the Cowboys 28-23, but it was a nail-biter. It was a close game in the fourth quarter, a game the Cowboys potentially could have won. And then you look at week 11, Monday night, came into the matchup as the game of the year. Eagles versus Patrick Mahomes on ESPN. Eagles didn't even play their best football, but they still beat the Chiefs 21-17. And then last week, in the first half, the Bills dominated the Eagles. The Bills were up 17-7 over the Eagles at halftime, and they looked like for the first 3 quarters that they were the better football team. So I think Vegas is basing how they look at this game and the line in this matchup. They're basing their judgment on the line on how the 49ers and the Eagles have played over the last few weeks. 49ers, they blew out the Jaguars, they blew out the Buccaneers and the Seahawks, and the Eagles struggled with the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills. During the offseason and after the NFC Championship game, they felt like if they had a quarterback, they would have beaten the Eagles in the NFC Championship game last year. They feel that way. And they feel like the Eagles lucked up en route to get to the Super Bowl. But if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you can only play who's on your schedule. You can only play who's on your schedule. And I heard from multiple people last year how they felt like the Eagles had an easy schedule last year. And you look at their path, to even get to the Super Bowl, they beat the Giants in the divisional round, and then they beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. But I thought they played well against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So to me, that validated them being a legitimate Super Bowl contender, how they performed in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. The Eagles could have won that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played spectacular. Besides that fumble in the Super Bowl, he had a tremendous performance. I understand where the 49ers players are coming from, feeling like the Eagles lucked up in the NFC Championship game and how if they had a quarterback, they would have won the NFC Championship. But I also understand the Eagles' perspective that we did what we were supposed to do.